I believe one of the other things that had an effect is that I talked about Liberty Villages. Now, how does all of that relate? To 9/11, I also published this, the first magazine I came back out with after my accident, after the magazine had been shut down for a couple of years. I came out with this issue of the Free American. In that, I talked about Dov Zakheim. Now, no other 9/11 researcher, very few have talked about Dov Zakheim. Nobody in the 9/11 Truth Movement. Dov Zakheim was in charge of the Pentagon. He was the chief financial officer of the Pentagon when $2.6 trillion disappeared. He was also left the Pentagon and went to the head of the Systems Planning Corporation. That's a company that designs and manufactures extremely sophisticated control guidance technology. And one of the company's principal products is the Command Transmitter System, a fully redundant, self-contained, solid-state platform capable of providing totally programmable remote flight control capability, including high-precision electronic navigation. Now, Rabbi Dov Zakheim was the controller of our Pentagon. He always lurked in the shadows. He was the graduate of the prestigious London School of Economics and the University of Oxford. He was the former CEO of System Planning Corporation. He was a senior fellow for the Asian Study for the Council on Foreign Relations. He was a member of the Task Force on Defense Reform. He was senior advisor at the Center for International and Strategic Studies. He was a former Undersecretary of Defense appointed by George W. Bush. He was the comptroller of the Pentagon. Donald Rumsfeld said, "I know Dr. Zakheim has been trying to hire CPAs because the financial systems of the department are so snarled up that we can't account for some $2.6 trillion. Now, Dov Zakheim was also the pioneer and prime architect for the Project for the New American Century. That's a neocon cabal that authored Rearming America's Defenses, RAD, the Bible for American global domination. Okay. Now, let me give you some more, but let me check on the chat. Of course you got dual citizenship. Of course. Okay, what happened here? Alright. We got Max Bocephus, Truth Pilgrim, Dr. DeCharge. Yes. Yeah, like Rahm Emanuel. So nothing has changed, folks. But I said all of that to say this. There is a group of Americans, a combination of coward, gangster, politician, buffoonish soldier, con man, and Israel-obsessed bully. These are the users and takers who live their lives, some invisible, some media darlings, some famous heroes portrayed by their friends in the media, their fellow thugs. This is the world's greatest terrorist organization. The threat to not only world security, but the lives and freedoms of the people of the world. These are the people who bleed America dry and have for generations. The people who have turned America into what the world clearly sees it is now a weapon to be wielded against the common and decent people of the world on behalf of criminal terrorists. Everyone has heard the story at one time or another that President Wilson was duped into setting up the Federal Reserve System. The Federal Reserve System is a lie. The Rothschild family and their predecessor have controlled European currencies forever, since the 1600s and before. Took over Operation of America in 1913, printing our money and running the country through a series of banks that they control, not all that secretly. Federal Reserve means Rothschild. And folks, I got a book out called Mystery Babylon, and it gives you the whole history of this. I came out with that after the accident, after they tried to stop me, after they took me out. And what I'm sharing with you here right now is by the Gordon Duff. He's the staff writer and senior editor at Veterans Today. His career has included extensive experience in international banking, along with such diverse areas as consulting on counterinsurgency, defense technologies, or acting as diplomatic officer of UN humanitarian groups. And I'm sharing this with you today because this echoes exactly what I've been trying to tell you in the Free American for years. For years. And what I'm telling you in my book, Mystery Babylon. Federal Reserve means Rothschild. Rothschild means poverty, hunger, ignorance, and most of all, war. That's all you need to know. Everything else, the Pentagon, Wall Street, corporate news, Congress, the Supreme Court, the arms industry bandits are nothing but their henchmen, cowards, and thieves that sold their souls for cash, the perception of power and vice. Walk the corridors of power in America, and you will see vice, drugs, sex, and corruption. We all know the nice Jewish girls that are passed around Washington like party favors. Monica Lewinsky, Chandra Levy are only two of the names America knows. There are 100 more. It doesn't take a genius to figure out who recruited them and why. Sex is power in Washington, Rome, London, and Tel Aviv. If they aren't snared in Washington, fly them to Tel Aviv. They got John McCain in Hanoi, so reliable sources tell us, giving North Vietnam virtual control over American trade policies with Vietnam and guaranteeing the slow death of hundreds of abandoned American prisoners of war. It was the Franklin scandal that told us how bad it was. The case made against two American presidents as pedophiles, like George Bush. Not just them, but hundreds of others, including dozens of prominent members of Congress. Franklin went after the GOP and their weakness: phony Christianity, phony family values, and a love of young boys. We know it isn't just the GOP and Pentagon, but Franklin taught us how far Americans could go to cover up well-documented crimes. How much control there is over not only the criminal justice system, but the news media as well. The political assassination of Chandra Levy was another, even easier than the murder of Pat Tillman, now supposedly revealed to the world as the cover-up of an accident. One of the most obvious expressions for disdain for America displayed by the criminal elite is the treatment of America's soldiers and veterans. This week it was discovered that Prudential Insurance, one of America's best-known companies, was defrauding the family of soldiers killed in action. Insurance payments to the survivors of those killed in wars, now admitted by all to be not just mistakes, but clearly criminal acts of aggression, were withheld and reinvested, but the proceeds was retained by Prudential and never paid to the survivors. Prudential, one of the most influential corporations on the planet, profits not only from war, but from American deaths in war. With America's Supreme Court ruled on a 5-4 basis by justice who cannot be described in terms other than corporate Zionist lackeys, the recent decision allowing unlimited campaign donations by international corporate conglomerates gives Prudential and their friends affiliates virtual control over America's military adventurers.